7. Hidden signs. She thinks about you every day. Female psychology. You think if she really thinks about you every day, she'll make it obvious. But the woman who thinks about you the most is often the one who reveals it in patterns, not performances. You think daily thoughts look like constant texting, instant replies, and dramatic confessions. They don't. Real preoccupation is usually quieter than your ego expects and deeper than your insecurity can recognize. And that is exactly why so many men miss it. They are looking for noise. They should be looking for consistency. They are looking for fantasy. They should be looking for behavioral residue. They are looking for reassurance. They should be looking for truth. If you need regular reminders like this, truth that cuts through delusion, not comfort that feeds it, subscribe now, because a man who doesn't get clear will keep sabotaging what could have been solid. You do not need more romantic myths. You need sharper eyes and stronger self-respect. Let's define this properly. When a woman thinks about you every day, here's what it really means. You have psychological presence in her world, even when you are not physically there. Your name has weight. Your words linger. Your absence creates contrast. She mentally revisits interactions, replays tone, remembers details, checks meaning, imagines possibilities, measures your consistency, and feels your presence in moments where you are not even speaking. That is not the same as obsession. That is not manipulation. That is not a game. That is emotional imprint. And once you understand that, everything changes. Because the biggest misconception men have is this: if she's thinking about me, she should act like I'm the center of her universe. No, a mature woman, a wounded woman, a guarded woman, an interested woman, they can all think about you daily and still control their expression. Why? Because thought and behavior are not always synchronized. Emotion and exposure are not always synchronized. Desire and action are not always synchronized. A woman can feel a lot and show little. A woman can think of you often and still move carefully. A woman can want more and still protect herself from looking foolish, from moving too fast, from investing in the wrong man. That's called emotional restraint. And if you are a man who only believes what flatters your ego immediately, you will misread the room every time. The hard truth is that many of you don't miss signs because women are impossible to read. You miss signs because you are too needy to read clearly. You either assume she likes you because she smiled twice, or you assume she doesn't because she didn't throw herself at you. Both are immature. Both are distorted. Both come from self-centered perception. You are not observing her. You are filtering her through your fear. Why does this happen? Root cause. Root. Because when you want certainty more than truth, you become a terrible interpreter. You overvalue intensity. You undervalue subtlety. You crave proof that soothes your insecurity, so you ignore the quiet signals that require patience, discernment, and self-control. You want the movie version, the obvious version, the version where she chases, confesses, and removes all risk from your side. But real attraction rarely arrives that way. Real attraction leaves traces. Real attraction changes patterns. Real attraction leaks through behavior long before it becomes verbal. And if you don't understand that, it costs you. You overtext. You force momentum. You over-explain. You chase a woman who was already mentally leaning toward you. And by chasing, you remove the very tension that was making her think about you. You flood the space that should have allowed her feelings to organize themselves. You panic and perform. You confuse availability with connection. You start talking too much, proving too much, reaching too often, and suddenly what could have grown naturally gets flattened by your need for confirmation. That's called self-sabotage. So reframe the question. Stop asking, how do I know for sure she thinks about me every day? Ask, what patterns reveal that I occupy space in her mind without me forcing it? That is the better question. That is the mature question. That is the question of a man who wants reality, not fantasy. The first hidden sign is this. She circles back to what you said long after the moment has passed. Not the obvious things, the specific things, the half sentence you made in passing, the opinion you gave casually, the story you told once, the joke nobody else would have stored. She brings it back days later, sometimes lightly, sometimes almost accidentally, as if your words kept living in her after the conversation ended. Why does this matter? Because people do not mentally archive what leaves no mark. If she remembers the texture of what you said, not just the topic, you are not just being heard, you are being revisited. That's called mental replay. And mental replay is one of the clearest signs of emotional occupation. You stayed with her after the interaction ended. Your words kept moving in her private space. That matters. The second hidden sign is she finds reasons to re-enter contact that are smaller than the energy behind them. A random question she could have solved herself. A link that reminded her of something you said. A casual check-in that technically has a reason, but not a strong enough reason to explain why she reached out at all. Men who lack awareness dismiss this. Men who lack discipline overreact to it. Don't do either. Just see it for what it is. Contact does not always announce desire directly. Sometimes it disguises itself as relevance because relevance feels safer than vulnerability. She is not always saying, "I wanted to talk to you." Sometimes she is saying, "Here is a socially acceptable bridge back to you." That's called a low-risk bid for connection. And if she keeps doing it, your presence is not random in her mind. You are active there. The third sign is quieter, and insecure men usually ruin it because they are too busy demanding center stage. She watches, not in a dramatic way, in a consistent way. She notices your rhythm. She notices when you go missing. She notices changes in your tone, your habits, your energy, your patterns online and offline. Maybe she views what you post with regularity. Maybe she responds selectively but stays aware. Maybe she doesn't always initiate, but she remains strangely informed. What does that mean? It means attention exists even when expression is restrained. It means she has an eye on your world, not because she has nothing else to do, but because some part of her mind keeps returning to you. Presence versus silence. Loud interest versus quiet attention. Most men only recognize the first. Mature men notice both. The fourth hidden sign is emotional disproportion. Small things from you affect her more than they logically should. A delayed reply changes her tone. Your approval sharpens her energy. Your distance makes her slightly colder, slightly more curious, slightly more reactive, not unstable, not chaotic, just affected. This is important. A woman who thinks about you daily does not always express softness. Sometimes she expresses sensitivity to your presence. She becomes more aware of what your behavior means because your behavior matters to her. If your silence registers, if your presence shifts her emotional weather, you are not neutral. That's called emotional stake. An emotional stake is a big deal. Indifference is flat. Thought is charged. If she is calibrating herself around your energy, even subtly, then you are occupying space inside her. The fifth sign is that she remembers not only facts about you, but preferences, values, and emotional meanings. She remembers what bothers you, what motivates you, what kind of life you want, what kind of behavior you respect, what kind of nonsense you do not tolerate. And she adjusts around it not because you demanded it, but because she absorbed it. This is deeper than memory. This is internalization. She is not just recalling information. She is organizing her understanding of you in a way that influences how she interacts with you. That's called psychological mapping. And psychological mapping only happens when someone matters enough to study. Not obsessively, not pathologically, intentionally. Your inner world became relevant to her. That is never a small sign. The sixth hidden sign is that she places you into future-oriented frames, even casually. Not wedding bells, relax. Not fantasy spirals. I mean, she references things ahead. She talks as if your continued presence is mentally included. A place you should try. A plan weeks from now. A topic she says she'll ask you about later. An event she imagines you at. A standard she measures other men against after meeting you. Why does this matter? Because when a woman thinks about you every day, you stop being a moment and start becoming a reference point. You move from immediate interaction into imagined continuity. That's called future placement. And future placement tells you something very simple. Your presence has crossed from reaction into anticipation. The seventh hidden sign is the most important one because it is not about what she says. It is about who she becomes around you. Her energy changes. She becomes more alert, more intentional, more feminine in some cases, more composed in others, more teasing, more careful, more alive, more aware of herself. Why? Because your presence matters enough to activate self-consciousness and emotional focus. She is not just passing time with you. She is experiencing you. There is a difference. A woman who thinks about you every day often carries some version of that inner awareness when she is with you. She is tuned in. You can feel it if you are not too desperate to force the moment. That's called activated presence. An activated presence is powerful because the body often admits what the mouth tries to regulate. Now, hear me carefully. These signs are not instructions to fantasize. They are instructions to observe. Huge difference. This is where weak men get lost. They hear 7 signs and immediately start building a love story in their head. Wrong. The point is not to inflate hope. The point is to sharpen perception. If she thinks about you every day, good. That is information. But information is not entitlement. Interest is not commitment. Emotional presence is not relational clarity. Do not take hidden signs and turn them into a false future. That is how men become delusional and then call women confusing. Reality first, always. This is where the man matters. The man who handles this correctly is not frantic. He is not arrogant either. He does not see 1 sign and start acting possessive. He does not see 3 signs and start fantasizing about destiny. He does not see 5 signs and abandon his standards. He stays grounded. He notices. He assesses. He remains warm but measured. He allows her interest to reveal itself over time. He does not interrogate it. He does not perform for it. He does not overfeed it. He lets it breathe. Picture him. He has purpose outside romance, so he does not turn every signal into a lifeline. He respects himself enough not to chase certainty from someone who is still inconsistent. He is attentive but not hungry, calm but not passive, clear but not controlling. He can tell when a woman's energy changes around him, but he does not exploit it. He can tell when she is mentally engaged, but he does not become intoxicated by being wanted. He still watches for character. He still watches for reciprocity. He still watches for integrity. Why? Because self-respect does not disappear just because attraction appears. That is the man who knows that being thought about is flattering, but being chosen well matters more. The man who understands that subtle signs are meaningful, but consistency is king. The man who can appreciate feminine interest without becoming a slave to it. The man who does not beg for clarity. He creates it. The man who does not force emotional exposure. He earns trust through steadiness and watches what naturally unfolds. The man who values the truth of the pattern more than the thrill of the signal. Be that man, because if you are not, you will ruin this in the same predictable ways. You will confront too early. You will confess too fast. You will overcontact. You will test her. You will withdraw theatrically just to see if she notices. You will start measuring your worth by her response speed. You will become reactive. Then the energy shifts, not because she never cared, but because you turned organic tension into pressure. Stop doing that. Do this instead. Notice repeated patterns, not isolated moments. Let her come toward you without dragging her there. Match energy cleanly, not excessively. If she re-enters contact, receive it well. If she remembers details, take note. If she creates small bridges, don't bulldoze them with emotional intensity. If her tone shifts when you disappear, don't exploit it like a child. Stay steady. Stay dignified, stay clear. Stop interrogating every interaction for validation. Stop asking your friends to decode every message like teenagers. Stop assuming interest means you've won something. Stop treating subtlety like rejection because you are addicted to dramatic proof. Stop trying to force the hidden into the open before it is ready. Redirect instead. Keep building your life. Keep your schedule. Keep your standards. Speak directly when the time is right, not because anxiety is screaming. If the connection is there, lead it calmly. If it is inconsistent, do not nurse it with wishful thinking. Let her actions mature. Let her investment grow legs. Let time expose truth. And if you decide to move things forward, do it like a grounded man. Simple, clean, uncrowded. Let your interest be known without overloading the moment. Then watch. Does she lean in? Does she make it easier to know her? Does she reciprocate with presence, effort, and reliability? Or does she enjoy being mentally attached while remaining behaviorally vague? There is your answer. A woman thinking about you every day is promising nothing by itself. It is a sign of influence, not a substitute for alignment. You need both, because what ruins men is not lack of signs. It is lack of discernment. You get so excited that you abandon sequence. First interest, then consistency, then trust, then depth. Not fantasy first, not attachment first, not projection first. Sequence matters. Structure matters. Self-respect matters. And understand this too. Sometimes the deepest sign that she thinks about you every day is not how much she reaches. It is how much she remembers herself around you. She becomes more careful with what you think. She takes your opinions seriously. She watches whether you are disappointed. She wants to be seen well by you. She may never say that directly. She may even hide it behind composure. But if your view of her carries unusual weight, you are not just another man passing through her attention span. You are a mirror she returns to. That matters, but only if you do not become drunk on it. You are not here to harvest female attention like it is oxygen. You are not here to build your identity on whether you are being thought about. You are here to become the kind of man whose presence means something because he means something to himself first. That is the deeper lesson. These signs matter, yes. They help you read reality. They help you stop underestimating quiet attraction. They help you avoid ruining what is building beneath the surface. But none of this means anything if the minute you sense interest, you lose your center. Do not lose your center. Keep your mind. Keep your pace. Keep your discipline. Keep your standards. Let her think about you every day if that is what is happening. Fine. But your job is not to become intoxicated by being on her mind. Your job is to remain a man worth thinking about. There is a difference. One is ego, the other is character. And character is what keeps attraction from collapsing. So remember the real message here. Hidden signs are hidden for a reason. Not everything meaningful is loud. Not everything real is immediate. Not everything valuable arrives as certainty. Sometimes the truth is quieter. Repeated memory, low-risk contact, consistent attention, emotional stake, deep recall, future placement, activated presence. These are not fireworks. They are footprints. Learn to read them. Then act like a man. Not a boy who panics and performs, not a cynic who dismisses everything, not a manipulator who tries to weaponize her interest. A man, clear eyes, clean energy, self-respect intact, warmth without weakness, interest without desperation, patience without passivity, standards without hostility. That man does not need to chase hidden signs. He notices them. He lets them inform him. Then he proceeds from strength. That can be you. You do not need to become colder. You need to become steadier. You do not need to become a mind reader. You need to become a better observer. You do not need to force her to reveal everything. You need to stop forcing yourself into places where clarity has not matured. You do not need more tricks. You need more discipline, more patience, more respect for sequence, more respect for yourself. Because at the end of the day, the goal is not to be thought about by every woman. The goal is to be solid enough to recognize when something real is forming and mature enough not to destroy it with your own insecurity. That is power. And if no one has told you this directly, hear it now. You are not the beggar at the gate of female attention. You are not here to panic every time a woman is subtle. You are not here to collapse into fantasy because she remembered your coffee order and watched your story. You are here to sharpen your perception, protect your value, and move with grounded confidence. You are here to become the kind of man whose presence creates thought, not because he performs, but because he is real. You are the answer, not your overthinking, not your need for constant proof, not your urge to chase certainty. You, your standards, your pace, your clarity, your self-respect. That is what keeps you powerful, whether she thinks about you every day or not. And the irony is this: when you stop needing to be constantly reassured, you become much easier to remember. If you want more truth like this, truth that sharpens your mind, strengthens your frame, and keeps you from sabotaging what could be real, subscribe and stay here. This is for men who are done with fantasy, done with confusion, and ready to move with clarity, discipline, and self-respect. You belong here if you are ready to become the kind of man whose presence means something.